learning and engaging opportunities when it comes to internet governance. But yeah, let's start with the basic, internet governance. Is it a puzzle? Is it a Tower of Babel? We have this very fancy definition from the World Summit of the Information Society. I think no one actually knows this definition by heart. It looks a bit complex and yes, complicated. So internet governance as the development and application by governments, private sector and civil society in their respective roles of shared principles, norms, rules, decision-making procedures and programs that shape the evolution and use of the internet. So yes, once again, a pretty complex and complicated definition, which I'm almost sure no one remembers it as such. So what does it mean in practice? Is internet governance a puzzle where a lot of stakeholders and actors contribute? Is it maybe a Tower of Babel where we are all trying to actually understand what's happening around? At Diplo, we look at internet governance as a sort of a building which is in permanent construction. And we have these various layers, which we call baskets. 7 main internet governance baskets. We start with the infrastructure and standardization, which hopefully you can see at the bottom of the building. We have legal issues, cybersecurity, development, economic, social, cultural, and human rights. On the left side of the building, we have a lot of actors who are actually contributing to putting this building together. And then the various issues pertaining to each of these baskets put around the building, making it actually being built. So yes, internet governance is a complex and complicated structure, a building permanently under construction. Actually, at Diplo, we are permanently updating this illustration, and I think this is the 4th iteration. So if we look at internet governance as a puzzle, and if we want to contribute and participate in this process, we need to start by putting the pieces together. And this is where the actual capacity development gets in. And there are so many venues for all of us to get started and to learn about internet governance. And I am trying to present some of them. I will start with Diplo Foundation, which offers a lot of online courses on capacity development in internet governance. Here are some of them. We have an introduction to internet governance, which again is an online course. The deadline for application is in December, so you can go on our website and apply. There are scholarships available, so you don't really have to pay for taking the course. We have also online courses on cybersecurity, also a tailored course on cybersecurity for the region, e-diplomacy, internet technology and policy challenges. And we also have a master program in collaboration with the University of Malta. The deadline for applications is at the end of the month. You can go on our website and apply, and again, there are fellowships available, so you can benefit from these. Internet Society, we have Frederick here, and he can probably speak a bit more about this if needed. They also have online learning, the Inforum Learn Online platform. They have courses on shaping the internet, history and futures, spam and online threats, introduction to network operations, some example. ICANN also has online learning, the ICANN Learn platform, which offers a variety of courses, and these are only some examples. A visual guide to internet governance, to the history of internet, an introduction to ICANN, and beginner's guide to domain names, just to name a few. There are also fellowship programs which give you the possibility to attend meetings face-to-face and to engage in discussions with others interested in internet governance. In Europe, we have the European Summer School on Internet Governance, which takes place every year in July or August in Meissen in Germany. Again, they have fellowships available, so you can apply. They will cover your costs. ICANN has the fellowship program. Again, you can go and apply, and they support your travel to the ICANN meetings. And as you probably know, there are 3 ICANN meetings a year. Internet Society also offers fellowships programs for the IGF, for the IETF, and a couple of other meetings. So, if we put the pieces together and we understand what this internet governance is, what is the next step? It's actually becoming part of the puzzle, so contributing to putting it together or to building the building I showed at the beginning. How do we do this? There are several venues where you can actually contribute and participate. The global one, the Forum for Discussions on Policy, Public Policy Issues Related to the Internet, is the Internet Governance Forum, which was launched in 2006 as a result of the World Summit on the Information Society. So now it has its 11th meeting. It will be in December in Mexico. There are, again, fellowships available. So if you go on the IGF website, you will be able to apply for this. And again, ISOC offers some fellowships. Then the ICANN meetings, unlike the IGF, this is actually a place where things happen and decisions are being made. Policy making mainly related to the DNS, but we have many ICANN staff around so they can tell you a bit more than I can if you have questions. The great thing about ICANN is there are many supporting organizations and advisory committees, so you can find your place whichever stakeholder group you belong to. If you are government, technical community, academia, civil society, business, you can find your place in one of these constituencies. The Internet Engineering Task Force, this is a place more for technical people for the development of Internet standards, but they are open to everyone. The World Summit on the Information Society Forum is again a space for discussions on more broadly ICT and sustainable development, but they also touch on Internet governance issues. And this usually happens in June in Geneva, but they also have remote participation. At regional level, in Europe and then in our extended Southeastern European region, we have first the European Dialogue on Internet Governance, which is basically a regional IGF, a place where there are discussions on IG issues related to topics that are of interest for European stakeholders. The next meeting will be next year. The one for this year already took place in June. We have CDIG, which is the Southeastern European Dialogue on Internet Governance. It sounds a bit complicated, but it is for what we call Southeastern Europe and the neighboring area. So the neighboring area also includes Armenia, Georgia, and countries around here. The next meeting will be in May next year in Ohrid, the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia. We have a call for issues launched, so if you want to propose topics to actually discuss at both Eurodig and CDIG, you can do that, and we have a bunch of intersessional activities, but more about this a bit later. At regional level, we also have RIPE, and you know the meeting that was here yesterday was a part of this. At local level, we have the Armenian IGF, where we are now, ISOC Armenia, and probably you know many other venues more than I do. So, we know how to actually learn, we know where to go, but how do we keep up with developments? There are so many things happening in internet governance on every single day. It's really difficult to stay up to date with what's happening in all those various places and with all those actors. So, we are at Diplo are trying to help with this, and in cooperation with the Geneva Internet Platform and partially with the Internet Society, we have put together the Digital Watch, which has 3 components. A Digital Watch Observatory, a newsletter, and a monthly briefing, and I will take them one by one. The Observatory, this is an online place, there are links later on, where we gather we gather summaries of the latest developments in digital policies. We provide overviews of over 40 issues related to the internet. Yes, I'm sorry, I speak fast. I'll try to slow down. So issues, internet-related issues. Actors, we have over 200 actors. This is on our website. We provide a brief overview of each actor and the issues they are involved with and what they do related to those issues, and information about ongoing processes. For example, the IANA transition was featured on our observatory, and we provided daily updates with what was happening there. We also keep a calendar of upcoming and past events, so whenever you want to know what's happening in the region or globally, you can go and look there, and also research and data on internet policy. So this is how it looks, a part of it. You can go later online and check. These are the 7 baskets that I have mentioned. For each of these baskets, we have various issues. For example, under security, we have cybersecurity. And on the cybersecurity page, we have an overview of what the issue actually means, a brief description. Then we provide daily, or let's say one update every 2-3 days on what's happening in this particular case about cybersecurity. Then we list actors which are involved in cybersecurity, events related to cybersecurity. So you can just go on that page and see what's happening. The same with, I don't know, digital divide, privacy and data protection, copyright, and many other internet governance issues. This is a snapshot of the actors page and the events page. The second pillar of the Digital Watch is the Digital Watch newsletter. We publish it every month. It has around 8 pages, and in it we basically write about what's happened in the previous month in internet governance. We had the September issue published just at the end of this, the past week after the IANA transition, on that night actually. So I think you can still find it outside if you are interested in seeing it. If not, you can also find it online. The next will be published at the end of October. And we also have monthly briefings on internet governance. So on every last Tuesday of the month, we meet online. Actually, our team in Geneva has an in-situ meeting there, and someone from Geneva presents information about the latest updates, the monthly updates, and then there are discussions about what happened over the month. So you are all kindly invited to join us for these updates. They happen online. The briefings happen online. Then we are also trying to do similar things in our region, in Southeastern Europe and the neighboring area. And this is a new project we have launched in collaboration with the Southeastern European Dialogue on Internet Governance. Liana can also tell you more about CIDIC because she is part of the organizing team of that initiative. So we have monthly summaries of internet governance and digital policy developments in the region. We are trying to gather together updates about what's happening in our countries. We only had one issue of this summary. It was not very comprehensive, but we're progressing. We're trying to do a bit more. If there are updates from Armenia, just write to us and we will include them in the next issue, or from neighboring countries. And we also joined the GIP, the Diplo monthly briefing with the Southeastern European Hub. So after the global briefing, we meet for a Southeastern European Hub and we discuss about what's happening in our region, basically. The next briefing is at the end of this month, on the last Tuesday, on 25 October. And these are some links for some of the resources I have mentioned. I'm sure this will be published online, so you can find basically everything here. And a kind invitation to be part of the puzzle and contribute to building the building. If there are questions or comments or concerns, I'm around now or later. I hope this has been a bit useful to you. Thank you also.
Շնորհակալություն. Thank you very much, Serena, for your presentation. It was really very useful for everyone who wants to know more about internet governance. Եվ թույլ տվեք հրավիրել մեր վերջին սեսիայի մասնակիցներին Սամվել Մարտիրոսյան
invite the participants of our last session. Samvel Martirosyan is the moderator. Please invite all participants of the last panel session. Good afternoon. I am to officially invite everybody, I suppose. Gayan Neharutyunyan, please. There she is representing Noyan Tapan, the most oldest, one of the oldest news agencies in Armenia. Emmanuel. Also, Arminfo from similar old agencies. Alaverdzyan David, again one of the old dinosaurs in this sphere. And Sahatelian Arman, I don't know even how to introduce him, but now he's representing the public radio. Okay. Do you have a question, Mr. Sahatelian? Yes. We are going to speak about things that are a little bit different from the previous topic. We are going to speak about unchecked, false, or deliberate disinformation which is disseminated through internet. The question is not new. It's not new in general. Disinformation has always been there. It's old as the world. Simply, internet has become in all of this, say, disseminator of new infections and an environment for new, how to say, epidemics, because the Armenian or intellectuals or not intellectuals or not Armenian intellectuals and not intellectuals now have acquired a platform which is in a sense media for information. That is, every person can to some extent act as a source of information, media. And naturally, when you have these many sources, even if there is no deliberate intention, then information disseminates with frightening speed. The next question is that the borders have collapsed or vanished, and it's really very difficult to understand where are these sources, in the country or outside the country, and exactly because of that the legal impact on all of this or regulation of all of this is becoming quite doubtful. It is a question whether you can stop it with force or not, although there are countries which are trying to do it. Like in the morning, we spoke here about China, which is implementing the most productive, most effective mechanisms for covering or closing the virtual borders of the country, which it used to do with the help of a stone wall in due time against Mongols. But we could narrow the task even more, like in a war situation, when disinformation becomes matter of national security. What tools do we have there, and whether these kind of tools should be there or not? Well, there are many questions, actually. I think those who are present can interfere with their questions, and then we shall start interactive communication. I'd like to apply to Mr. Alaverdian in the first place, because he has this experience of raising such questions. I'm not speaking about disinformation, but about the regulatory methods in internet. I speak about using legal tools in the do you think that as you fought against copy-paste, use some tools and implement them in the legal platform? Firstly, thank you very much for inviting me. Before answering to your question directly, I want to say that a secure information environment is the dream of all societies and states, and each society tries to reach it through some means, like China, as you said, through prohibition, Northern Korea just closing the internet for everybody and all. We have chosen the liberalization way, and I would like to ask my compatriots whether they feel that they live in a safe and secure information environment. Do they feel themselves protected from false, fake information? My personal opinion is no, we are not protected. I feel this as on me, myself, on my friends, on my family members, that we're simply flooded with disinformation or misinformation, with fake information, plus the hate speech, and continuously we are in this stressful flood of fake and misinformation. So I do think that we need to undertake certain steps, most probably even towards the direction of regulation. We have tried to discuss this issue with other media outlets, and we have thought that one of the steps should be the following, that means of media, those media and those sources of information be on the same legal level. Today we are facing a problem that part of the media, say, rather a big part of them are registered as legal entities. They are paying taxes, they are operating, they are keeping staff, but we have also a huge amount of websites which are declaring themselves as media sources and are not registered anywhere. And what they do is, firstly, they steal somebody else's materials and place it in their site. Secondly, speaking with colloquial language, they try to fish in dark waters. And when the responsibility comes forward, and from the point of view of legal side, we have responsibilities and rights, and when there comes the question of responsibility, immediately a question comes forward or a problem comes forward, because nobody knows how to deal with these media sources, how to call them to responsibility when they are not, whereas they are not registered as such, and they are even not meeting the simplest demands of the law on mass media means. They don't provide even simple contact information, so as people who become victims of misinformation would apply or ask to, erase this information or change the mend the situation. So we decided to suggest to move the discussion into more professional fields, because we know that there is international experience, and we would like to study or get at least cases from international experience on how could we stop, halt the flood of this false information, and to call them to responsibility, to legal field, if that is the case. Thank you, but do you see the possibility of calling them into legal field when even it is not known whether these sources, where is the address of these sources? There are a couple of information sites which reside in Russian Federation, and it is not even known who are the owners or who are the managers of these sites. And do we have leverages or tools to, force them? We have the experience of April war days, when the internet and in particular social networks were flooded with misinformation, and there our majority of our society showed a very conscious approach. I was even astonished. People started to hint each other, to advise each other which sources could be trusted, which sources are doubtful or even more false, or which are the tools or the weapon of the enemy. Unfortunately, you and our colleagues can say that this kind of awareness unfortunately comes forward only in emergency situations or other emergencies. Other steps, how can we fight against it? I do not know, because if they are indeed are registered in other countries, then the disinformation, moving it to our information field, is a matter of seconds, because, internet is limitless. In my understanding, there is one very important tool which is very on low level in Armenia. This is the raising media literacy. I have to say that raising media literacy is a matter of years, if not decades, so as every user would be aware, would be conscious of which information source could be trusted, which should not be trusted. And that will allow us to create a trustworthy media, information media. We do not have such now. You know very well that the sites which are the main information source today, 90% of information in them comes from Facebook. People see some attractive title, they enter, they don't even pay attention to where they are, They feel that they have been deceived, cheated, and they don't even pay attention to it. So, and they repeat it again. And the last thing I'd like to say, I think we should start media literacy from schools, and in particular, in the course of lessons on informatics, we could first retrain teachers of informatics, and some of the lessons devote exactly to media literacy and internet literacy, so as we will not see that big number of viruses that are in the internet, and in particular in Facebook, which is used by everybody. I agree with you. Of course, we could discuss only where. In the social informatic lessons, where should be these trainings delivered? In the course of the lessons on informatics, in the course of the lesson of social awareness, of social sciences. Mrs. Saratelyan wants to say something, but be brief, because I wanted to continue the topic, and then I shall give you a chance to speak. Thank you very much. Actually, I wanted to ask a question to Mrs. Harutyunyan and Mr. Vakifjan, because you have the oldest experience in this sphere, and you have observed the Soviet changes till today. And two things. The change of awareness in the media environment in respect of dissemination of false information, and most importantly, has the audience changed qualitatively? Could we say that people have become more conscious and aware, or we could say that we see regress or deterioration of awareness? Thank you. Firstly, a small comment, and then I shall speak about my experience since Soviet times till today. Our topic is defined this way: fighting against sources of information that are disseminating misinformation. I think that is not possible, because today every person is source of information. We spoke about, and to say that it is possible to fight against dissemination of information, it is not possible. In my opinion, it is not possible. Now I shall try to speak about my experience since the Soviet times. Let me say this way, not since Soviet times. We started since 90s, if I'm not mistaken, since 1990. Well, 1990 was already Soviet. We were already working in 1990. We were working with the help of teletype, and then we worked with modems, oldest generation modems. Then we formulated the first attempts of journalism. We were very serious in that, and we were approaching to that question very seriously and with great responsibility. We have worked with serious professional reporters who today in the field are occupying serious positions, which could not be done. And then the time started to show some progress. We changed the age, the century. I asked somebody, you don't use the old magnetophones, tape recorders with tape. Yes, you don't use cassette tape recorders. You listen music differently than we used to. We were creating information, we were selling information, our information was bought. Not much, but there was an element of business in what we were doing. The open state of the internet brought to the situation that any person can provide any information, can place, and even stealing from each other. Do you know that in our information agency we had 24 people, Now they are working 2-3 people in one agency and giving 24-hour information. 2 people are working there. One person is translating, the other person is just placing it. Nobody has reporters, nobody has journalists. 2 people are operating 24/7 internet site or information agency, and that's it. Stealing news is not something new. The whole world steals news, which is very bad, but you can't stand against it because they just paraphrase and make it say it in other words or in their own words, the same thing, and you can't prove that it is stolen information and provide it. You can't. The worst thing is that the professional journalism is withdrawing. It is vanishing. If a couple of people now just translating are giving information, it means that there's no journalism. Well, this is another topic for conversation. Now, how to work with not trustworthy sources of information. That is a matter of personal choice. We live in a society. We choose people with whom we can converse, whose opinion is important for us, or whose word is important for us, or we trust them. Let's try. Well, you speak with a person who is belonging to a sect, you know what kind of information he will give you. You speak with a partisan, you know what kind of information he will give you. Same is, you enter internet and you should know whose information are you taking and reading. If you are taking, for example, you open Facebook, I don't want to say bad words now, and you see some stupidity or bullshit or nonsense there. I bring, very much like this example. The title says, slaughter in parliament. Everybody clicks, enters. Turns out that an MP has killed a fly. You can't fight against it. That source of information. Once give, okay, you didn't know, you entered. Second time, you should not enter. You should choose A, B, C, that other information source and use it as you choose your friends, as you choose your close environment. That much for the beginning. Yes, Mr. Makirchan? Can I speak Russian? Okay, if you don't mind. I share the opinion of my friends, the thoughts of my friends and colleagues, but I want to add that there is some kind of, how to say, cyclic whirlpool, which is dangerous in as much as very soon it can simply wash us away from the market. What is the cyclical character of this whirlpool, and where is the problem? The problem is in that on new platforms of alternative media, Facebooks and digital platforms, all of this is being monetized. And in the first place, the information about which we were laughing is being monetized, like the Prime Minister crashed on the tractor. That was great material. Slaughter in Parliament. All of this is monetized through our common clicks, the number of the clicks we do, and those agencies which are sitting, these dinosaurs, as you call, have nothing to do, have nothing else to do. Well, I do think actually that this is quite normal, natural. Can we stop it? I say absolutely that is impossible, unless, until in this country, in our country, we will not have the development of those spheres, those segments, together with which we will act as a joint infrastructure. If we speak about the political field, then a serious information agency or information resource or newspapers, doesn't matter whether they are published or they are in the internet, unless they have become an infrastructure of the political life of the country. I don't see any other possibility. Same is about our business resources, information business resources. They are actually not becoming infrastructures of this business, that business that is developing in Armenia, because it is not developing. Let's be honest. Because even if we look at our commercial banks, they have 3,000 employees there. I assure you, not more than 20 people are interested in global business information, even in that structure. I don't even speak about that business information that is every day given by business analysts of Armenia and is provided there in the network. There is the problem of choice, the problem of target audience, and in that respect, from that point of view, I tried to analyze in one of my articles and and basing on the situation of the office, of the situation of economics and political culture, I took these very important three segments against which we can't, we can't simply contradict, to which we can't contradict or avoid or neglect. We should always ask the question, who needs this? The motives of what is going on in the open network today. The first mission, if we were to speak about the negative impact, the first mission is disinformation. Why disinformation? Because exactly disinformation becomes the infrastructure for mainly political deception of the society, which we face today very often. Only disinformation can support those political structures which are not accountable to the society, and for which the society is something like soldiers, pawns in the big game. You see this connection. It is there, it is working. The second motivation, I would say, negative mission, is disorientation of the society. That is the most interesting and the most original, unique thing that is going on in Armenia in the course of the last decade, when was created a big amount of internet resources directed towards exactly disorientation of the development of the country. Who has a vision of this country? Nobody has. Ask even the big players of the market. Ask the bankers, directors of big corporations. I don't speak about oligarchs, that's a different story. I speak about businessmen. The biggest problem of these people is lack of vision. There is no vision. We don't know where we go. We don't know what we want. Here, our politicians are using exactly these disorienting instruments, tools. And the third thing is defamation, so-called mission of defamation, which is black, dirty business about which we talked here already, which actually is the simplest elementary. We had such even case of criminal prosecution of one of our colleagues. Well, that's it. That's how I see it. And frankly, in this respect, I am a pessimist. Your pessimism is indeed infective. It depressed me even. Mr. Saratelyan, we have come together here, and we're really glad that we have come together here. And we were talking about the so-called multi-stakeholder model that is managing, controlling, or how to say, supervising the internet, which assumes the involvement of these multi-stakeholder entities. And you are actually representative of this multi-stakeholder community, because you have been a businessman, you have been a politician, you have been a political or public face, now you are sure. No, unambiguously, I'm going to make statement from positive point of view, because who is informed, he is armed, and that's my motto, that's my credo. So I suggest let's pass from the linear model to the simulation, so as we analyze the whole cycle of information creation, dissemination, and consumption. And here we could say there are three main links. The first is the, say, in conception or inception of the information, when a subject has the thought. We spoke here about the motive, who and what for initiates certain flows of information. And here we have to argue, if we are speaking about or in the context of fight and struggle, then in the contemporary, in order to have some impact in this contemporary life on the say inception of this idea, we won't be able, because in the macro context we live in a multipolar world where the collision of interests between superpowers are evident for the future of the whole mankind and the globe, and relations, economics, political formations, economic models, and so on. That is to say, we deal with multi-polar, sometimes intolerant, and sometimes even fighting against each other approaches, which are seeking or trying to have their own impact on the mass awareness of the whole mankind, also propagating or advocating this or that model. And we have witnessed it in the course of the Cold War as well. But the physical and informational digital limits are not the same. If in due time we could identify it, today it is impossible to do. Only a big superpower can do it, like China, as you said. Similar attempts are made by Turkey, United States, with their own approaches. Israel is trying to make something somewhat because each country, each big and powerful country has some idea about it and is organizing some process. But in such a small country as Armenia is, to mingle into these flows that has been initiated by these superpowers is not realistic for limiting these flows, as from financial, as from economic, as from political, as from human resource point of view. And moreover, we will have to spend half of the resources of the country to manage all of this. So we exclude one link. We have nothing to fight against it. From regional point of view, we have different role players. We are in conflict and continuous war. This is not a quiet region, and any subject in this region is generating its own information flows, and the collision of interests is evident. That's going on to be there always, forever, until we live here in this region. It is not going to be peace or quiet and smooth, including from the point of view of confrontation and information flows. And here also we have no leverages and no impact. And now let's look at micro scale inside the country. As long as we have adopted democratic development, we have different political, social, of other kind, religious, economic, and other kind of groups, each of which has its own vision, its own truth, and its own understanding how this country is to develop and where it should go. And as long as we're a democratic country, so everybody has the right to generate ideas and thoughts and to express them. And that is not punishable. From that point of view, most probably we won't go back to the totalitarian system of management. So again, this link is also excluded. Now let's look at the disseminator. Who is disseminating information? Of course, today we are facing such situation when any object of former information has become subject of information. That is to say, they are not only consuming this information, but anybody is able and capable to become disseminator of this information. And there comes a big question whether these legal regulations, we had these precedences, like the law on fake information, defamation. What did we achieve? Nothing. Maybe we would say force some information sources or websites to register in some official zone, but the border is very subtle. Then we could adopt sooner or later the model of Russia, and that would be the end of our liberalism and even democratic approaches. Because let's imagine my or yours readers of Facebook are bigger than much many than the buyers of or subscribers to the biggest newspapers. What are we going to do with that? So that is a big problem. Here I'm not an optimist, and I don't think that we will find any way to legally control it. So what we have now, consumer, that conscious, that awareness, those minds, which is the object of impact, which everybody tries to conquer, and everybody has its own mission and vision, like one wants to build communism back again, the others want to go back to Soviet system back, the others want to annihilate Armenians from the globe or whatever else. So what is our task? Our task is going to be the function of protecting the consumer. I'm against, I don't think that all of this is to be discussed in the framework of informatics, because this is actually an element of life security. There is such a subject which is taught in higher educational establishments, but I think the current reality is dictating us to start it earlier. And there is one more thing called critical thinking, used very much in West, which is absolutely lacking. Not only the subject, but the phenomena is lacking. So critical understanding, critical thinking, the element of critical thinking does not exist. If people have this element and have these skills, I think, nature has natural mechanisms inculcated in any living being, be it a dinosaur or a mammal. So as when eating something, food, they won't be poisoned. There are natural mechanisms like nausea, smell, taste, color. So as if the food is poisonous, an animal will never eat it. Unfortunately, the nature has not yet stipulated anything like that for the function of the brain, human brain. But I think evolution will bring to it that each and every human being managed to survive will come to acquisition of some minimum skills of consuming information in order not to be poisoned or diseased with it. Well, from global point of view, I think sooner or later the system is going to reach to some kind of balance. I listened to a program